We're gonna get started, guys. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. Good to go? Cool. So my name's Andrew Williams. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the University of California, San Diego. And next year, I will start as an assistant professor of climate science at Columbia University. Starting a professorship is normally a joyous moment. And while I'm really excited to be doing what I love, to be learning about our amazing planet and training the next generation of young scientists, at the moment I'm also scared. I'm scared for the future of American science. And that's why I, together with my colleagues, organized the second annual Weather and Climate Livestream, which has culminated here in this 250-mile walk from Central Park to the steps of Capitol Hill. The United States has built up the most competitive, rigorous, and productive scientific enterprise in the history of this planet. American scientists pioneered the first weather and climate forecasts, and we've built an unparalleled observational network to power those forecasts and to validate them. This world-leading weather and climate prediction infrastructure has benefited every American, and it was only possible because of decades of sustained investment by the federal government. Last year, we started the Weather and Climate Livestream together to draw attention to the federal funding cuts to this world-leading weather and climate infrastructure. Nearly 200 scientists from across the US came together, spoke for 100 hours, 180,000 people turned in, and we logged over 30,000 calls to Congress. But despite this, the administration's attacks on our science are continuing. Not only is the administration proposing further drastic funding cuts for FY27, but they're also threatening to dismantle the National Center for Atmospheric Research in Boulder, Colorado, which we know would harm the economic health of this nation. On top of this, egregious new regulations proposed by the Office of Management and Budget would give political appointees veto power over every single federal grant in the country, as long as it disagrees with the administration's political ideology. This is a red alert for US science, and so we've come together a second time to stand up against these extreme policies. SIL has walked 250 miles to be here, and we are asking Congress to match that effort. We want them to reverse the drastic cuts to federal agencies and labs, to protect our national labs like the National Center for Atmospheric Research, and to oppose the extreme measures proposed by the Office of Management and Budget, which would undermine the very foundations of US scientific excellence. You, the members of Congress, hold the power of the purse, and we're here today to ask you to use it to defend US weather and climate science. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Alessi. I'm a climate scientist with the Union of Concerned Scientists, as well as an organizer of the Weather and Climate Livestream. I should admit that when I heard a group was planning to walk 250 miles, I immediately volunteered to support by driving here. My question for Congress, and especially the Trump administration, is simple. What has made the United States a global leader in science? For generations, the answer has been public investment in research guided by independent experts, rigorous peer review, and scientific merit, not political ideology. The Office of Management and Budget's proposed rule governing federal research funding threatens that foundation. It would allow political motivations to shape research funding decisions. This would especially affect weather and climate research in this country. And I get it, scientific independence might not be a super flashy policy push, but I bet affordability is on the mind of every lawmaker here. The good news, investing in and protecting science, and especially weather and climate research, is some of the highest return on taxpayer investment. Since World War II, American scientific leadership has depended on a simple principle. The best science earns support because it is the best science. Congress must protect that principle by passing the Scientific Integrity Act, which would protect federal scientists from political interference. It is up to Congress to protect independent science and make smart financial decisions. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Lexi Schultz. I'm with the American Geophysical Union, and we are the world's largest home for Earth, space, and climate scientists. We're honored to support the event organizers and the members of Congress who are here today to speak up for science. Right now, science is at risk. Fundamental research programs have been cut. Crucial data for weather, water, and oceans is being lost. And experts are fleeing the government, the country, and science. And now, as you've heard, a new proposed rule would defund any research that this administration doesn't like. But let's be clear, when we say science is at risk, it's the public's health, safety, and affordability that's really at risk. Deadly storms are still here, but the climate and weather forecasters are gone. Food and fuel prices are too high, but the research that supports farmers and energy innovators is being slashed. And forever chemicals are polluting our waterways, but environmental research is out of favor. America deserves a vibrant future, but that's going to take a vibrant scientific enterprise as well. Science needs robust funding, it needs guardrails against ideology, and it needs an embrace, not a kick, for our current and future scientific workforce. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Virginia Schutte, and I am a science communicator. I got into science to save the Earth. That sounds like a fourth grader's naive dream, and I was hoping around that time that I'd eventually be adopted by a pod of dolphins. But then I grew up, and I stayed in science to help Earth's people. When a scientist sounds alarmed about the future of the Earth, it's because our work shows us that the Earth is becoming a deadlier place for humans to live. The good news is that our work also shows us what we can do to protect each other. Weather and climate scientists have spent decades figuring out what's coming and how to tell people about it so they can stay safe. Past government investments in science have made our country a world leader in weather and climate science prediction. We developed the first computerized weather forecasts, the first computer models of large-scale climate impacts, and an unparalleled network of real-world measurements. But now, the safety and security of American people is at risk. Past actions and current proposals from our own government are designed to radically change the way science works in the United States. Proposed actions include drastically cutting funding for science, limiting the types of science that can receive support, and preventing scientists from sharing our results with each other, with policymakers, and with the American public. Last year, we lost 20% of the federal science workforce. That's 25,000 people with years of expertise that we can never recover. On top of that, we are training far fewer students to join the scientific workforce. And as a result, we know less about threats to our lives and our livelihoods, and we will for years to come. The White House's current proposals make it clear that all of that is only the beginning of their plans. We scientists are desperate for those plans to be stopped. So we walked 250 miles from New York City to Washington, D.C. to remind our members of Congress that further breaking how science works in the United States is, for now, just a proposal. Congress has the power to preserve the scientific systems that keep millions of people safe. Congress has the power to insist that their funds get distributed as they were intended. Congress has the power to change our course. And we have the power to hold our members of Congress accountable and make sure they act. Though our walk was motivated by desperation, it was carried out with joy, because we know how to ensure that science serves Americans into the future, fund science, and protect the integrity of the scientific process, as lawmakers from many backgrounds have done for decades. That seems much easier than walking 250 miles. We refuse to stay still and watch the scientific superpowers of our country be stripped away now, when they are better than they've ever been and needed more than ever. With more than 250 miles behind us, we and constituents from around the country ask our members of Congress, will you join us in taking extraordinary steps in support of American science and the American people? Now, after walking 250 miles from Central Park to Capitol Hill, I would like to invite to the podium Syl to walk just a few more yards. Please come up and officially conclude your walk for science.
Hey everyone, can you hear me all right? Oh, how's that smash mic? So I just walked 270.4 miles to get here today. A little bit more than 250, but oh God. and I can't feel my legs. But one thing I can feel right here is all the energy in support of weather and climate research here in the US.
Yeah.
On my walk, I talked with Boy Scouts, firefighters, cashiers, hairdressers, driveway basketball enthusiasts, you name it. I almost sprained my ankle trying to dunk a basketball on a mini hoop in somewhere in New Jersey. I also walked with over 20 climate and weather scientists across 12 institutions on the East Coast. One thing between all the conversations I had remained the same: an appreciation, whether rediscovered or decades old, of the miracle it is that we provide such profoundly good weather forecasts here in this country. I walked not only to celebrate this remarkable scientific achievement, but also to bring awareness to the risks that the agencies that make this research possible face in light of budget and staffing cuts. So I'm speaking from my own personal opinion here. Americans know the value of U.S. weather and climate science, and it's time that these values are reflected in our government. Thank you. Woo!
Well, I am Zoe Lofton, the ranking member of the Science Committee here in the House, and I would just like to thank the scientists who have taken this journey to highlight the risk that the Trump administration has created to America and really to the world. From dismantling the ocean measuring system to replacing peer-reviewed research with crony-reviewed research, to cutting off funds, to firing scientists. This has been an all-out assault on science in America to the detriment of our country and to the world. Now, I believe, as the scientists have said, that Congress should be held accountable. But to do that, we need a majority in the House who's willing to act to protect science. So don't believe that your voices are not being heard. Don't believe that you are powerless to change this course of events, because you are not. Highlighting this assault on science, the risk to America, the risk to the public, will have an impact. It will make a difference. And so we are pleased to accept the letters that you've had to deliver. I'll make sure that they are posted on the website of the Science Committee so the public can see them. And I just want to say, keep it up. Keep it up. The future is in our hands. We're with you, and we want to stem the assault on the science enterprise in this country. So, you have letters?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'll take it.
We're all getting
Okay, we're all getting letters.
Yeah.
And now we have Congressman,
So we have one more over here. And a few more down here.
Congressman Tonko from New York is next.
Thank you. Thank you, Zoe. Good afternoon, everyone. Great to be with all of these scientists who have marched for 250 miles from New York. I share with my colleagues here and the scientists their message. Hands off science, hands off scientists. Let's allow science to do its thing so we can advance good things, success that will affect positively all Americans, if not the world. So it's time for us to get real about supporting science and to be here with them as they gather at the nation's capital to advocate for the importance of U.S. scientific leadership is just another show of energetic, passionate response on behalf of our scientists to Congress. Our country does not run without scientists like them, like our greater science community. Scientists push the boundary of what is known. Scientists find solutions to complex problems, unlock innovation, and create new technologies that stimulate the economy, help us compete on the world stage, and yes, keep us safe. But we are in a dangerous time right now as it relates to science. The Trump administration continues to target our scientific community and federal funding sources. When there's no funding for research into climate and atmospheric science, we lose the ability to predict real disasters, and the result, people suffer. This administration is cultivating an environment where researchers fear professional retaliation or public vilification for producing evidence that challenges political narratives. That, my friends, is the very definition of politicizing science, and it is wrong. Scientific progress demands sustained investment in people, in infrastructure, and in the freedom to follow the evidence wherever it leads without censorship, coercion, or fear. As an engineer, I will always fight for science. I am a proud champion of the Scientific Integrity Act, which would provide much needed protections for our federal scientists, help restore public trust in science, and ensure that the United States retains its leadership in research and innovation. I will always fight with you to uphold the independence, integrity, and funding of American science. You're right, Congress has the power of the purse, so this is still a democracy, the last time I checked, and we will not let them silence us. Power to the purse, power to Congress, power to science and scientists. Let's go forward. I introduce a friend, Don Beyer, Representative Don Beyer from Virginia, as our next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, very much. This has been quite a year. We had the venerable monks who walked all the way from Texas to be with us for peace. They were barefoot, and now we have the venerable scientists. They've walked 250 miles barefoot to stand up for peace, for science. They've spoken so very eloquently about how much science, climate science, has changed our lives and made it better. I have a book recommendation for you. A Distant Mirror by Barbara Tuchman. It's the history of the calamitous 14th century, where the average lifespan was 20 years old, where half of Europe died in the plague, a lot of really bad stuff. She writes at the beginning of the book, the only difference between life in the 14th century and life today was science, was knowledge. And we're living through an administration that's eliminated the science office at NOAA, eliminated it at the EPA, cut it in half at NASA, cut the National Science Foundation by 55%, laying off almost all of its postdocs. Somehow this is an administration that has chosen stupidity, dumbness, putting their hands over their ears and over their eyes. They want to hear what science can bring. But all progress, all move forward in life comes from knowledge and from science. And especially now in this world where the existential risk, more than AI, more than nuclear weapons, is what we're doing to our planet. And so thank goodness for these young scientists who've had the courage to walk down here. I get to deliver a letter to Kirsten Gillibrand, for example. I mean, there are lots of letters for lots of people. And I just give them my great thanks for all that they're doing. And let you know, we do hear you. We have midterms 22 weeks from yesterday. We are going to make sure that we stand up for science today and in the years to come. And with that, let me give you a wonderful scientific leader and the chair of the Oceans Caucus, among many other things, the wonderful Suzanne Bonamici.
Thank you, Don. Hey, thanks everybody. Thank you so much. It's so inspiring to be here. Amazing, 250 miles you walked. It's hard to drive 250 miles. I'm checking out your shoes. Okay, you definitely walked. Thank you so much for walking, for hiking, for being here to raise awareness about science. I'm Suzanne Bonamici. I represent the northwest part of the state of Oregon, including miles of the magnificent Oregon coast. I'm a co-chair of the Oceans Caucus. I also am a senior member on the Committee on Science, Space, and Technology, and also served for several years on the Select Committee on the Climate Crisis. And I know the scientific integrity, scientific research will not be erased by political convenience. People here today are defending facts at a time when we are flooded with fiction. And this administration needs to see that you are here today to elevate the truth when others seek to demonize it. That should not be controversial. Facts should not be controversial. Science should not be controversial. But the Trump administration has launched an all-out assault on scientific agencies, on labs, on researchers, on higher education, everything we need to get the people out here in our fields to keep our country safe and our future secure. And when they fire scientists and cut federal research funding, that puts all of us at risk. So this is Capitol Hill Oceans Week this week here in DC. And since 2025, America's Ocean and Climate Agency, NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, has been under effect. under assault. They cut staffing, they cut research, they cut weather and ocean data systems, and now they're trying to remove 900 ocean data collection buoys from the ocean. Tell that to the scientists who work there. Tell that to the people who fish for a living. Tell it to the communities that depend on tourism and visitors. It's crazy. We're going to stop that. NOAA's data and forecasting capabilities are crucial for risk modeling, for early warning, for disaster preparedness. They're also trying to eliminate the disaster database. This is the database used by emergency managers and insurers to assess risk and allocate resources. It's tracked more than 400 major disasters since 1980. So the effect of all of this, the administration is going to conceal climate disasters, and it's going to cost. It's going to cost in dollars, it's going to cost in lives, and it's going to cost in our future. Disasters have claimed more than tens of thousands of lives since NOAA began reporting. So despite the stakes, the Trump administration is still trying to shutter NOAA's Office of Oceanic and Atmospheric Research and the National Science Foundation's National Center for Atmospheric Research. They think if they cut this, the problems will go away, but it won't. So I want to give a shout out to all my colleagues on SEEC, the Sustainable Energy and Environment Coalition. We're fighting to protect and restore funding. We're conducting oversight. We're showing up in person and doing everything we can. And come November, we're going to turn things around. I'm so grateful to the scientists who marched here and many more across the country. Again, change will come from the bottom up. Thank you. We need everyone speaking up about this every hour of every day. We won't stop fighting back. The health of our communities and our planet are at stake. So thanks, everybody. I have letters to deliver as well. And it is now my honor to represent my Oregon colleague, Congresswoman Maxine Dexter.
All right, thank you all. To the scientists who just walked 250 plus miles to be heard, welcome to Capitol Hill. Thank you for coming. We are all better for the work that you have done and the leadership you have shown. My name is Maxine Dexter. I am a mother, a physician, and proud to represent Oregon's 3rd Congressional District. For over 2 decades, I cared for the sickest patients in the hospital, patients on life support, patients benefiting from research and investigation and the power of science. Today, the legacy of that investment is being decimated across not just weather and scientific, basic science research, but across public health and the squishier sciences that sometimes people disregard. We do not have enough information across the board on the things that help us keep each other safe. Weather science, though, and climate science are core because we know that more people are dying due to weather events than any other natural disaster right now, and we can stop that. Predicting weather, as you will hear soon from my colleague, days in advance give people warning, gives them a chance to get to safety. And gutting these infrastructure and agencies is deeply harmful, deeply unsafe, and frankly, it's just insane. It's an act of cruelty, and not just against the scientists, but against every American who lives in the path of a hurricane or who is has to run for their lives from a wildfire or a flood or in a drought situation. The scientists who walked 250 miles and the letters you are delivering today represent something powerful. A community that refuses to be made silent and refuses to be left unseen. Climate crisis is real. Science is real. The people who have dedicated their lives to protecting us and investigating without coercion deserve us to fight for them here in the halls of Congress. We will fight to restore your funding to protect this research and to ensure that the United States remains the world leader in climate and weather science. Lives across the world depend on it. Thank you for walking, for raising our awareness, and for our Congress colleagues, let's get to work. And with that, I'm very proud to present Congressman Peters of the 50th District in California.
Thank you. My name is Scott Peters. I represent San Diego, California in the United States Congress. This is a critical moment for American leadership. The worsening climate crisis remains an existential threat to human health and the environment, and the smart approach for our country continues to be to invest in our future. Unfortunately, this administration seems committed to the exact opposite. Funding cuts have kneecapped the world-class research ecosystem that made America great in the 20th century. And just this week, the Trump administration announced it would be dismantling America's ocean monitoring system, which provides data on how the ocean absorbs greenhouse gases, demonstrates how changes in ocean atmosphere affects fisheries, or signal changes in the overall climate, and forecasts coastal flooding along our coasts. Imagine this, that these facilities are already in place. They're going to spend the money to take them out. That's how aggressive they are in being anti-science. They're gutting foundational scientific research. This hurts the health and well-being of hardworking Americans and compromises our ability to compete with other nations. Last year I held a town hall with some of my constituents who are researchers at University of California, San Diego and Scripps Institution of Oceanography. A few of the researchers in attendance shared their stories, and they spoke about seeing their labs shut down, their funding cut, their income slashed, their research halted. These cut back critical research into toxic algal blooms. These stories they told, clean energy, chronic illnesses, infectious diseases, neurological disorders. This is the risk we take when we cut the funding that supports critical scientific advancement. If we're going to keep up and maintain our leadership and fight climate change, we have to invest in science, not dismantle it. Thank you all for the critical research that you do every day. Thank you for your commitment to doing this work and getting the word out. Thanks for the 250-mile walk. Next time still, they'll tell you there's a train. Train. It takes a while, but not days. But look, we're in this fight, and you should know that the folks up here are in this fight with you, and we mean to win it. So thanks again. Keep your voices up, and let's win.
Thank you.
And now, the only meteorologist in Congress, Congressman Eric Sorensen from Illinois.
It's good to be with you. Thank you so much to our friends in media for covering this as well. A monumental day as scientists have come here to Capitol Hill to share their stories. I'm Eric Sorensen. I'm the only meteorologist elected in the United States Congress. I represent Western and Northwestern Illinois, where I was a meteorologist on television for 20 years. I earned the trust of the people by telling them the truth, but that also meant 17 years ago, taking the risk of talking about climate change on television. I was one of the few people that would do it back then, and not because there was ever a risk that people were going to turn away. It was that I had earned the trust of the people, so I needed to communicate that because it was on my conscience. And you know what? When I realized that when my congresswoman was retiring, I knew I needed to take my job to Washington. And you know how I got elected here? It was because the farmers in Northwestern Illinois, you can't tell a farmer today that climate change is a hoax because they know you're lying to them. They're struggling like they've never struggled before. And we must pay attention to them and do more for them, because we can't just ignore it like this administration wants us to do. And so that's why I'm so honored to be a part of this fight. But also people at home need to understand that we're fighting today. We're fighting on behalf of people who are worried about the climate. I'm so proud to lead on the National Weather Safety Board, which would create an NTSB for weather disasters. When a weather disaster happens, we need to have an independent board that understands what went wrong, what caused the loss of life and property, and then come back to the Science Committee in the House of Representatives, where we legislators will develop the policy to make our communities resilient. It's fighting against DOGE when they wanted to cut the National Weather Service. But then it's also protecting the folks at NCAR, the National Center for Atmospheric Research, where I went to them to ask them back in 2009, how do I talk with my viewers, now my constituents, about climate? So thank you to those scientists who are here today to walk the 250 miles, to give us those letters that we will now deliver to other members. But then also I do want to thank the media for covering this. This is something that we need to be talking about on a daily basis. So thank you to all of those folks who have cameras here today, who have journals, who are recording what's happening today. This is history today. And so we need to make sure that we're not only standing on the right side of science, but we're fighting for it as well. And with that, I'll open it up to questions.